Mr President, I give notice that on the next sitting day I will move that this House notes that on 14th of November 2019 a motion for an order for papers was passed in the Legislative Council requiring the production of, among other documents, all asbestos registers held by Sydney Trains, New South Wales Trains, State Transit, Sydney Metro and RailCorp, all legislative compliance registers held by Sydney Trains, New South Wales Trains, State Transit, Sydney Metro and RailCorp, and the health monitoring records for exposure to asbestos for Sydney Trains employees. B. The documents returned to the Clerk of the Parliaments on 5th of December 2019 did not include any of these registers. And C. In correspondence dated 5 December 2019 and addressed to Matt Richards, Acting Executive Director Legal, the Department of Premier and Cabinet, Mr Rod Staples, the Secretary of Transport, stated, as noted in previous responses to Order 4 papers directed to the Department, references in an order to the Department of Transport will be understood as meaning a reference to the Department of Transport only. 2. That this House notes that A. Inadequate responses to Orders 4 papers, as with inadequate answers to questions, is a growing concern which is undermining the ability of this House to hold the government to account, especially in relation to the transport cluster. And B. The 2019 changes to the machinery of government and a lack of clarity regarding the responsibilities within the transport cluster has frustrated efforts to obtain information and documents necessary to examine actions and decisions of this government. 3.
Keep going, Mark.
That understanding Order 52 there be laid upon the table of the House within 6 days of the passing of this resolution the following documents in the possession, custody or control of Transport for New South Wales, Sydney Trains, New South Wales Trains Link, State Transit, Sydney Ferries, RailCorp and Sydney Metro. A. All asbestos registers held by Transport for New South Wales, Sydney Trains, New South Wales Trains Link, State Transit, Sydney Ferries, RailCorp and Sydney Metro. B. All legislative compliance registers held by Transport for New South Wales, Sydney Trains, New South Wales Trains Link, State Transit, Sydney Ferries, RailCorp and Sydney Metro. C. The health monitoring records for exposure to asbestos for Sydney Trains employees. D. The health monitoring records from 1 January 2012 for all New South Wales, Sydney Trains, New South Wales Trains Link, State Transit, Sydney Ferries, RailCorp and Sydney Metro employees exposed to asbestos. E. All correspondence, reports and briefings created since 1 January 2018 relating to any asbestos register or legislative compliance register within New South Wales, Sydney Trains, New South Wales Trains Link, State Transit, Sydney Ferries, RailCorp and Sydney Metro. And F. Any legal or other advice regarding the scope or validity of this order of the House created as a result of this order of the House. 4. That documents returned to this order be redacted to remove any identifying personal health details. 5. That should the Leader of the Government fail to table the documents in compliance with this resolution, it will be a matter for this House to take necessary actions and further steps to address the issue of continued non-compliance.